All right, here's everything you need to know for the test on Monday in 5 minutes. So don't waste the rest of your weekend studying. Just give me 5 minutes, maybe watch the video twice. If you understand this, you're good. All right, you need to know the difference between accidents and substance. Pretty much everything for Aquinas hinges on this, as well as everything in our understanding of the Eucharist. So accidents is what's on the outside, the physical part of me, that I'm 5'6", I have brown hair, that's accidents. Substance is the inside of me. I love God, I love my wife, I love my kids, I love teaching theology. That's who I am on the inside. The Eucharist changes in substance, not in accidents, according to Thomas Aquinas, and that is why we believe in the transubstantiation. Local motion is just another word for accidents. The Eucharist does not change in local motion. Sacramentum is another word for accidents, or on the outside. The Eucharist does not change in sacramentum. The Eucharist changes in substance or in mysterium on the inside. The Greek word for mysterium is mysterion. Mysterion is what the New Testament uses to describe the sacraments or God's mystery. It's then translated into Latin by St. Jerome in what's called the Vulgate, which is a translation from Greek to Latin of the New Testament. And the sacramentum, the Latin word sacramentum, means the outside, the visible level of the sacraments, and then mysterium, with an M, means the inside, the invisible reality of the sacraments, which is God's grace. The Trinitarian Creed is the prayer in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Jesus tells the apostles to go baptize all nations in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. So the Trinitarian Creed is something said by Jesus. It was not made up in the Middle Ages. The Filioque is the main difference between Catholics and Orthodox. Filioque literally means and from the Son. We believe as Catholics that the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father and from the Son. The Orthodox Church says only from the Father. It really is splitting hairs, and honestly that is the only major theological difference between Catholics and Orthodox. Now you'll find that many Orthodox churches came back to the Catholic Church. Those are considered Eastern Rite Catholic churches. The Byzantine Catholic Rite is an example of that. The Ukrainian Catholic Rite is an example of that. When those Orthodox churches came back to the Catholic Church allowed them to celebrate the Mass using their ancient Orthodox traditions, simply adding from the Son to the Creed, adding the Filioque to the Creed. So there really is a lot of common ground between Orthodox and Catholics. It is just that there is a difference in the rite for Eastern Orthodox who come back to the Catholic Church and become Eastern Rite churches. The rite, or the ritual, or the Mass is slightly different, but the beliefs are the same once they accept the Filioque. Summa Theologica is a book written by Thomas Aquinas. You're going to learn more about that later. You need to know the order that these theologians came into the world and blessed the church. Augustine, then later Anselm, and then finally Aquinas. So an Eastern Rite Catholic Church is an Orthodox group that came back to the Catholic faith. The Orthodox Church itself, obviously they're not Catholic, but they do have the 7 sacraments. Their worship is different. They don't use pews. Also, they do not give the Eucharist, which they do believe is the real presence of Jesus. They do not give that to non-Orthodox. But after the service, they do give out what's called antidoron. Antidoron is for anyone to receive, regardless of whether you're Orthodox or not, and it's a blessed bread. An interesting way to get around that problem of not giving the Eucharist to everybody at the church. There are 2 different kinds of theology I want you to know for this test. Systematic theology is using logic and reason to understand God. Pastoral theology focuses on relationships between people and God and people, each other as Catholics. The Vulgate, you already know, is the St. Jerome's translation of the Bible into Latin. The New Testament was originally written in Greek. The Latin Rite is another name for the Roman Rite. We are Roman Catholics, but there are also Byzantine Catholics and Ukrainian Catholics. We're all equally Catholic. And we are in the Roman Rite, which used to be in Latin only, and so we're sometimes referred to as the Latin Rite. Aquinas loved philosophy. He quotes Aristotle. He uses Aristotelian philosophy of substance and accidents to help us understand the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. Augustine loved Plato. Jesus is the sacrament of God, or the sacramentum of God. He is the visible reality of the invisible God, God in the flesh, the incarnation. And then the 7 sacraments today are the sacramentum, or the sacrament of Jesus Christ. The sacraments, especially the Eucharist, make Jesus Christ present in the physical world today. Jesus Christ takes on the Eucharist as his home or his dwelling place during the Mass, and in a very powerful way. So the God who is everywhere decides to be somewhere specifically in the Eucharist. The sacraments all have a biblical origin. They all have matter and form. The matter of the sacrament is the part that you can touch. The form is the part that you hear, the audible formula. So matter in baptism would be water. In the Eucharist, it would be the bread and the wine. The form in baptism is the Trinitarian Creed. I baptize you in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. If you understand those larger concepts, you're in a great spot. You could obsess about everything else, but really that's all that you need to know. Couple other finer points in the true and false sections. It would be helpful to know that in the Orthodox Church, priests can marry, bishops cannot, and therefore in the Eastern Rite Catholic churches, priests can marry, bishops cannot. That's just considered a part of the rite of who can say the Mass and who can perform that ritual. And then Thomas Aquinas, a little bit about him. You need to know his parents did not support his vocation to the priesthood. The Orthodox Church teaches that sin is poison coated in honey, which would be delicious to give out for Halloween. Just kidding. So anyway, God bless you guys. I hope that helps. I think you're going to ace this test. So relax this weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Be kids. Watch a video a couple times. You'll ace the test on Monday. God bless. See you guys.